So over the past few days, the participants have been coming together, first of all, to get to know each other. They're coming from 40 different countries, different cultures, different locations, different kinds of ideas. But they're coming together because they've got this shared curiosity. And they've got a lot of capabilities, incredible imaginations. And what they're doing is really exploring what it means to design. Starting with what the students have been doing is looking at the Sustainable Development Goals as a starting point of design. Then they've been following a framework that's about conceptualization, about thinking who the participants are, thinking about what materials, what processes, and then really understanding how we can change fashion to be more sustainable. To the Paris Climate Summit, there was a meeting of lots of different industries. And they came together, and what came out of that meeting was that we're the first generation to really understand the issue of climate change, but the last one to be able to do anything about it. So that's what these guys are doing. They're doing something about it. Hello, everybody. There are various barometers that show what's changing in the world, and the Youth Fashion Summit is a really important one of them. Over the last 3 editions that we've had to date, we've been able to witness actually quite a huge shift in what's happening. We've gone from a collective of students who are wanting to make good decisions to ones who are able to create better choices. From learning about sustainability to seeing what it looks like to actually live sustainability principles and practices through design. To be able to think about, from being able to think about concerns to taking the 17 UN Sustainable Development Goals as a starting point for design in fashion. This is a huge positive change. And I don't know how many of you have taken the 17 UN Sustainable Development Goals as a starting point for your work. But over the last 3 days, we've seen just how amazing that starting point can be. Very difficult, very tricky, but very doable, as you will see shortly. These students have really embraced the notion of radical collaboration. As you heard, Monday morning they met for the first time. Here they are, having synthesized, analyzed ideas that they're bringing to you today. They've demonstrated what can happen when you bring together curious minds, creative hands, informed ideas, and really committed hearts and souls. You see here today representatives of graduates, citizens, colleagues, friends, leaders, who are makers, doers, and thinkers that really believe and know that we can do much better. But I've noticed something else over the last few days. I've noticed lots of things over the last few days, actually. But anyway, one particular thing. It's about how busy we are thinking about scarcity and looking into scarcity, and it's totally understandable. I don't need to stand here and talk about fashion's concerns with the things that are scarce, whether it's water, whether it's species loss, etc. But these are all stuff of diminishing returns. And there are elements around us in great abundance that we don't always recognize, value, or know what to do with. And these elements need to be nurtured, given space, offered the agency so that we can all have increased returns that can be more equitable. This abundance includes human imagination and creativity. It includes various resources, including sunshine, which maybe we don't take for granted, and we've all enjoyed that the last few days. It's the ability to suspend judgment and having the power of the collective. And it's also the uniqueness of everybody's values and abilities coming together. These are the things, these are the resources that we've seen over the last few days. And we also know that creativity can't be mandated. It's something that tends to emerge out of something that somebody really wants to do. Not always easy, sometimes quite painful. But actually, these people really want to do something to create beauty, equity, and balance. But they can't achieve their ideas alone. They need to connect with each of you as individuals who have wisdom, experience, and knowledge. They need to connect with us all as a fashion community who can create consensus and habit. And they need to think about how they connect with representatives of the infrastructures that can make good easy if they make that decision to do so. It takes openness, it takes patience, it takes guidance and creative insight. But I think more than anything, it takes this notion of giving these guys space to test, refine, sometimes fail, sometimes get better, but to apply their ideas in different contexts. So please listen well to the voices of the next generation. They have some very important messages for you to hear.
As a group of CEOs, business and opinion leaders, academics, and students, would you be here today if you didn't have access to an equal and quality education? We've been considering Sustainability Development Goal 4, which is quality lifelong education, and Goal 5, gender equality. As inheritors of your roles, we demand empowerment and education of workers and of consumers. We realize that you're very intelligent and influential people, but you're kind of stuck in a system that's not really working for you. We want to present our desired future. In 2030, the fashion industry will have blended the line between work and education. Governments, businesses, and the media will have created a positive, symbiotic partnership that encourages the well-being of all involved. Through the use of an online learning platform, we will be able to train employees, allowing them to build their technical and their personal skills. This will have a positive effect on employee contentment and overall productivity. This platform will be incentivized by governments and employed by businesses. We also believe that consumers should be educated. The media has a huge impact on this, and so does technology and innovation. Governments and businesses can, together with the media, educate and cultivate behavioral change amongst consumers through their influence and their widespread reach. This will create a feedback loop that will in turn feed back into the businesses. With such an open system, education both within and across cultures, this will allow empowerment to be possible for all. I hope that we've empowered you to join us on this journey today.
We have been considering Sustainable Development Goals 3 and 6, covering health, well-being, water, and sanitation. And as inheritors of your roles, we demand that the fashion industry take drastic and immediate action towards implementing closed-loop water systems to ensure that the industry is not dependent on fresh water as a resource. According to the UN, without immediate action from the fashion industry, clean water will no longer be an accessible resource by 2030 for half of the world's population. And this is simply not acceptable. Instead, we imagine a future where the fashion industry is no longer the second biggest water-consuming industry. We imagine a world where there's full awareness of the chemicals in our fresh water and their effects on 9 billion people. We also imagine a drastic shift in how we use and value water, creating a culture that both respects and learns from the value of our resources. The technology of water recycling is out there, so let's implement it today.
Having considered SDGs aiming at no hunger, no poverty, and no inequalities, we demand a long-term investment on the community as a whole through fair wages, improving infrastructure, and ensuring food security. Now let me tell you, actually remind you of the story of a man that I'm pretty sure you all know. His name is Brunello Cucinelli. Cucinelli is the living proof that creating a corporate culture that encompasses the local community is actually possible and successful. He managed to revitalize an entire Italian village. Now that community is part of the industry, and the industry is part of the community. Working hand in hand, they mutually gain. They have not only managed to increase the quality of product, but they have actually increased the quality of living. Now this new model, actually new smart model, as our host said, where community and industry thrive together by respecting the hands and hearts involved in the garment's life cycle is a must, and we all know it. Thank you.
What do capital, profit, and success mean to you? What if by 2030 they meant something completely different? We have been considering Sustainable Development Goals 16 and 17 relating to peace, justice, and global cooperation. And we, as the future generation of the fashion industry, demand your participation in the creation of a fashion industry wherein capital, profit, and success are defined and measured by more than monetary value. By 2030, these concepts must be measured side by side with a holistic view of well-being, social security, and global health. The priority must be on collaboration, on knowledge sharing, on a rethinking of where we place our values, and on a lowering of the barriers between people, companies, and countries that halt the flow of progress. We want you to imagine a fashion industry wherein success is defined not only through financial gains, but equally through the sharing and increasing of information and knowledge, technological innovation, and social and environmental progress.
We have been considering SDGs 13, 14, and 15, which are climate actions, life below water, and life on land. As inheritors of your roles, we demand that the fashion industry no longer is the second largest polluter by 2030. You, global policymakers, must together with NGOs, brands, and corporations create and implement legislation for no more water and land abuse. Invest in research and in innovations. It is vital that we restore the air, water, and soil that we have altered. Furthermore, we must create more opportunities for life. To let this world flourish, we must stop taking that which we cannot restore. Thank you.
We've been considering Sustainable Development Goal 8, decent work and economic growth, and number 12, responsible production and consumption, in relation to circularity with the technological agenda. We are running out of resources. And as the next generation and inheritors of your roles and our waste, we demand that designers, brands, and governments collaboratively invest in recycling technology and infrastructure that is needed to secure and enable a circular system. Products, fabrics, and fibers will be infinitely cycled within and across industry, because today's textile waste is tomorrow's textile resource. We support the concept of mass balance and ask that brands give as much into the system as they take out. This encompasses the continual sourcing of recycled content and the active collection of textiles. And governments must support this through incentives and regulations so that early adopters benefit from circular behavior. We want an industry that has zero waste practices embedded in their DNA and causes no unnecessary harm. This means a strategic cross-industrial industry roadmap to eliminate post-industrial, pre-consumer, and post-consumer waste. We also demand that brands proactively support this system by incorporating design for circularity is a driving philosophy in their work. Our vision of a fashion world in 2030 is a world where circularity is just business as usual.
We have been considering Sustainable Development Goals 7, 9, and 11, dealing with energy, infrastructure, and human settlements. within the parameters of responsible innovation. As inheritors of your roles, we demand economic consequences in order to reverse standards. We need to reverse the profitability of being unsustainable. We need to reward sustainability. This is why we are addressing you, governments, companies, and the game changers of tomorrow. The World Happiness Report validates the notion that happiness does not increase with financial exponential growth. For this reason, our industry needs other metrics of success. We need to build a resilient infrastructure in order to create green cities. In short, we are going to penalize reckless business and invest that money into innovative, sustainable initiatives. Through this, sustainability will be the standard in 2030. No one wants to be labeled as something negative, but in the future, we will do exactly that. We will call out the people that are doing the things that are negative. Sustainability is the norm. Our industry has to reward those people that are right now making the change.
So a huge thank you to each of the students, but also to all of the people who've helped them to come here. There's too many to mention all of them, but just to say a massive thank you to both Kia and Daffy. And whilst I can't go through names, I do have to mention Johan, wherever he is, because he is an absolute superstar.